Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, and these are all the movies I watched in May of 2025. First off, I watched Come and See. I've heard so much about this beforehand. It's just about how harrowing and really just gut wrenching of a movie this was, which is par for the course for a war movie. I expected that, but it really just hit like a ton of bricks. It's a hard movie to watch at times, and it's very brutal. It always surprises me whenever I watch these war movies how they always find a new way to make war horrifying, and this is no exception. It's an incredible movie for how horrible the subject matter is and how depressing it is. The visuals are so beautiful. The colors are just so vibrant, and they really pop out at you, and great cinematography all around. The acting is very good. Like, all the shots I'd seen beforehand was just of people's faces of absolute distraught. And that is a lot of this movie, honestly. But I mean, the actors do a great job at just portraying so much emotion through their facial expressions and through their acting in general. Yeah, this is a very good movie, and the ending especially is possibly like one of the best endings of all time. I will say there were parts at the beginning where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get completely into this. But, I mean, the ending brought it all together, so please give it a watch. I watched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I've been wanting to watch this for a while, just seeing as it's a Jim Carrey movie, but with a more serious tone, because I really liked The Truman Show and Jim Carrey's role in that. And, to be fair, there's a decent amount of comedy in that, and there is some in here, too, but I was just still curious about what he could do. To be honest, in this movie, probably one of my only complaints is some of the comedy kind of feels like it was a bit forced in there just because they're like, well, we have Jim Carrey. We've got to be a bit more comedic at times. And so that was kind of, it wasn't the best. But other than that, this is an incredible movie. The concept is already just, I mean, I love just a really solid concept, honestly. If it's just something original, unique, it immediately catches my interest. But then the execution, this movie is so artistic and, beautiful, and it takes so many risks, just so many interesting things that they do with, I mean, the camera work, the editing, pretty much everything is very, unique and different. It's, I've never seen a movie quite like this. And I mean, it's all around just beautiful, and it has some incredible themes. I really haven't said anything about what this movie's about, and I think that's kind of how you should go into this movie. I mean, you can read the blurb or whatever if you want, but, go into this movie and let yourself be surprised by just how incredible it is. I then watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Never seen this before. I mean, I don't even know what else there is to say. It's a really just solid, kind of absurd comedy. It wasn't incredible or anything, but, I had some good laughs. A lot of the time, though, I just found myself thinking, oh, wow, that's kind of fun. It wasn't something that had me absolutely dying on the floor laughing. But I wasn't, bored or anything. I mean, I don't know if you can be bored during this movie, but, I guess there were a decent amount of times where I wasn't, it just wasn't as engaging to me or something. I don't really know what else to say. It's just it's a chill, fun movie. Not one that I really see myself coming back to ever. I mean, I shouldn't say ever, but, it's just a solid comedy, and I'm glad I watched it. I then watched Nickel Boys, which was quite the experience. I feel like it's a very sensory, I guess, might be the right word, just because of how great the visuals and music and overall sound design is. It's a very beautiful movie. Obviously, the elephant in the room is that this movie was all shot in first-person point of view. Now, that can be really bad. I feel like that could be a thing that could easily be really gimmicky and really just put someone off. But in Nickel Boys, it is done really naturally, and it really works with the overall tone and feel of the movie. It just feels like a very cohesive part of the film as a whole, which isn't to say that it's unnoticeable or it seems as if it's not even there. It's just a really solid part, and they just do that first-person perspective really good. So yeah, overall, this is a great movie. My one complaint is that it did feel a little bit bloated. certain characters I feel like I couldn't keep track of because I didn't really know them. There's lots of names thrown around, little elements that I didn't feel like were fully fleshed out, but that's a minor nitpick. It's overall a great film. Hunger Games 1. This is another one of those big blockbuster movies that is really weird that I haven't seen yet. And this one is overall pretty fun. It's a solid concept, but it's not too terribly interesting. I do feel like there's a possibility that I kind of already knew the entire plot of this movie just from what I've heard already, whether consciously or unconsciously. I just know so much about this already that didn't feel too fresh or interesting. It was also like painfully obvious that this movie was based on a book, just because it just felt like there was so much that was cut. Things just didn't feel super complete. It was clear that stuff was cut out to fit the overall runtime of a movie. But overall, it's a fun movie. Like, this wasn't a movie I was going into with expectations for it to be this incredible and really inspiring, and I wasn't expecting anything crazy. But for what it is, just a really solid, fun blockbuster. I mean, it fills that role pretty well. And then Hunger Games 2. I think this one was overall better than the second one, but a bit more messy, maybe. I feel like this one had a lot more going on. As I said with the first one, I felt like a lot of stuff was cut, but this one, it felt pretty full. You get a lot more into the actual dystopia of it. You learn more about the society, it feels like. And overall, the actual society isn't anything too interesting or unique for Utopia, other than the aspect of the thematic aspect of how we view entertainment and how that affects our lives. But it also didn't lean into that too much, but still an interesting thing. And it was just that's something. Once again, this movie is just a fun blockbuster. Yeah, it did feel a bit chaotic, partly because it did feel like they included more stuff. And this is also the second movie, so it's a weird transition point. But I do think it was overall better quality than the first one. Hunger Games 3 and 4. I'm doing these two together because they're two parts of the same story, and I really don't have too much to say about them. Yeah, these are the worst two. I think a lot of people know that already. Nothing terrible, nothing excruciating or horrible or anything, but they're just not as good. One aspect that really bugged me was just the romance and the love triangle felt really, really weird and not at all well fleshed out. It was just strange. I mean, this was a continuing thing from the other movies, but one specific character is not at all fleshed out, and it's obvious that they're not going to be the victor, you could say, in the love triangle. It's all just kind of whatever. I don't know. It all came to an end, and I just kind of felt nothing because I was a bit exhausted at this point. But, it's not terrible. I have a hard time saying don't watch these movies at all. But if you enjoyed the first two, yeah, sure, watch them. Just, it's not a super satisfying ending. The Passion of Joan of Arc. This movie really felt revolutionary. The fact that this is from the 1920s, I was just watching this, it just felt so far beyond its time. It's great, primarily in the camera work and the editing. While watching this, I just had to compare it to Citizen Kane, because that movie's is mostly famous for revolutionizing all these new techniques and everything. I'm but this looks so much better than Citizen Kane, because the camera work, the editing is just so good. That was my main takeaway, because everything else was, I mean, I don't want to say it was completely whatever. I mean, it's well acted. It's a silent film, so it is, I don't know. I've always had a bit of a harder time. I really want to appreciate silent films on the exact same level as non-silent films, but I think it's still kind of hard for me. But yeah, it was still a really great and impressive movie. I then watched Ugetsu, which I really wish I liked more than I did. I still quite liked it. It's honestly a very simple film. It feels very folktale-ish in nature. I would not be surprised if it has its roots in, some Japanese fairy tales or folk tales or whatever, just because it seems like a very simple film with a simple message about greed and what it does to us. But like there was just so many moments that I saw and I was like, this is such a great moment. I wish it had like even just a little bit more impact on me. And I wish there was more of them. It builds some pretty good atmosphere at moments just with the sound design, music, and visuals and all of that. But it doesn't quite go that extra mile that I think I wished it did. Which isn't to say it failed completely at building that atmosphere. It does a great job. I again just if it pushed it just a little bit further, I think I would have really actually loved this movie. Um, which it's weird to say, but it's just unfortunately one that I think is really great. Um, so yeah, it's a good watch. Maybe you'll find more appreciation in it than I did, and maybe those moments will work better for you. Because it does. It's really well made, and it has those good moments. And that's everything I watched this month. You guys can leave your thoughts on these movies down in the comments. Remember to save a blobfish, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.